Bad.
All right, welcome everybody back to Brown and Browner here. Week 5, post-week 5 edition of the NFL, along with other things going on in sports, including the baseball playoffs, WNBA finals, and a lot of things in between. But most importantly, we kick off with a tragedy last night.
Yeah, that was a tragedy. I mean, almost as tragic as seeing what looks to be feathers on the top of my head, which is really a Marilyn Monroe poster with some masquerade things there.
We all look like court jesters for picking against Lord Farquaad. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kansas City should not have lost that game. There were a lot of ways to lose it. We got to talk about another game where I think it was the worst loss I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
There's just too many problems that arise with Kansas City. In the past, they've been able to pull these games out. Now we're starting to see that it doesn't pay to be in close games. Ask Philly, ask Buffalo, ask those teams. If you can beat a team, beat them down. Don't give them a chance to get back up, because this is the kind of thing that happens. And just as we were talking before we got on, I don't know what's up with kickers, but your only job is to kick the ball through the uprights. And the other part is make sure you don't kick the ball out of bounds or in or outside the 20-yard line, so the other team starts at the 40. Don't do those two things. Kick it through the end zone, just kick it straight, whatever you need to do.
I'm going to be as blunt as ever. You've seen the F-ups by kickers all season long, especially I think it was week 3 or whatever it was that we saw so much going on. I'm sorry, we have an overpaid kicker on the Chiefs who, guess what? You got a target on your back because you've been vocal about other things, which I don't mind.
A lot.
You know what? That means you better show up on the field when it counts. And you know what? You didn't. And I'm going to blame this entire loss on him. Yeah, there were other factors. Media's going to tell you otherwise. Mahomes, defense, all this other stuff. Chris Jones, whatever. I'm blaming it solely on the kicker, because guess what? The offense did its job. It got the 7 points up. It got one up by 4. You got 140 left on the clock. Guess what, kicker? You set the tone by putting the damn ball in the right position to start the next drive for the Jaguars. You make sure they're as back as they need to be. You pin that ball inside the 10. That is your job.
With what, one timeout, was it? Or one timeout left. All you got to do is kick it down there. Make them go 80 yards or 80 or 75 yards, not 60 yards. And that makes a big difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, people, but it makes a difference.
He said it best. He's like, I'm tired of seeing this thing where quarterbacks have to start in the 40. If I got to do that, and Peyton Manning saying he would have scored 50 touchdowns.
Exactly. Plus, I just want to point out, Butker, you had a lot of noise. Your speech on campus, you're talking about women. Don't go and realize your dreams. You should be in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, for the men. Well, you know what? You're talking that garbage stuff there. You were supposed to man up. Did you man up? I'll tell you what, I'll take one of those graduating females with an intelligent mind who would sit and practice diligently to be good at their craft, so when the moment comes, they would perform and not mess it up like you did last night.
No, like I said, I blame it solely on the kicker. As much as, yes, Patrick Mahomes threw it in the middle in the end zone, not the greatest play in the world. Our DB had his back turned in the end zone to give up a pass interference call, crucial late in the game. So that's fundamentals 101. There was a lack of effort somewhere on the defense, but I don't really buy that one either, because they were on the field for quite a bit of time. And
that's always a problem. I agree with that. The defense gets blamed sometimes for things they can't control. If you get up, you get off the field, and you have to go right back on the field, you're tired as crap, and it's harder to perform at the peak level that you need to.
I don't think people realize, you give Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds, he's going to score, and that's how quick the defense has to rest to get back on the field to try to defend the ball. In the same situation, Mahomes, I think they got the ball back with like 6 minutes left. They drove it down to 140 basically, so 5 minutes, to get that touchdown drive. Could we have killed more clock? Maybe, but then I don't trust, not getting in the end zone. So it's a fine balance there. But again, 140, we've stopped better teams with less time all the time. This should have been a gimme win on the road. And honestly,
Chris Jones, where you at, baby? Where you at?
Yeah, all the big money players. This was that game. This is where they need to show up and shine and turn the season around. And frankly, they're still turning around. If there's one positive to be had, and I think we were agreeing on this before we jumped on this, the offense looks good. And I like it looking forward going into the game. But now we got to figure out that balance of helping the defense rest, because you can't win every single game based on your defense. You just can't.
No, and we've done a good job of that over the last couple of years after our
Yes.
offense sort of went down a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, that's not a recipe that's going to work for Kansas City. They got to figure it out. They got to continue to keep scoring and make these drives count. And we need our defensive players. You know, Special K, linebacker, we need you to step up. CJ,
Special
we need
K, I
you to
thought had a
step
great
up.
game. I thought the Greek Freak had a great game.
He always has a great game.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, at the most impactful moment, that's when you need them to show up, and I'm not seeing that.
Yep, you're right. You're right. I mean, frankly, I think I still got to say this. I'm going to say this as a biased fan. I think our linebacking core is one of the best in the game. Chanel, Gorge Karlaftis. I mean, all those guys are just dull.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
They've saved our season many times over in the last few years. So, I mean, I give it credit what credit's due. But at the end of the day, this should have been a win. It's as simple as that.
You got to win the games that you are leading late.
And this one
Baltimore. Yeah, ask Baltimore. Ask a lot of teams in this league. Ask every team that lost against Tampa Bay this year. You got to hold the lead when you have the lead.
And given everything going on in the league this year, this could have cost you a wild card spot, honestly. Like Lord Farquaad and the boys, they're going to be battling in the South with Indy. It's going to get interesting, honestly.
Well, I guess the saving grace from yesterday, outside of the Broncos actually winning, is that the Chargers lost, right?
Yep. Bills.
And you had a couple of other teams, you know, you had other teams within the conference that didn't do as well. Seeing Buffalo lose, we're 2-3. We rattle off 6 in a row. We got an opportunity to be right back in that conference.
There's a tough stretch coming up. I mean, you got a Sunday night game against the Lions. You got a Monday nighter against the Commanders. You got primetime games coming up next 2 weeks. You got to win those. Then you go into the division. Then you go into the division. Then you got to play Sean Payton and those boys. And those boys, that defense look good.
Well, and we can transition to that game because, you know, I think the talk is you had 2 teams that were undefeated going into the weekend. You had both of those teams, I thought they were favored in their matchups, even though, you know, they were both. Here's the funny part. Both of those teams were at home. The Eagles were at home playing the Broncos.
Yep.
I'll tell you this. While we have issues at Kansas City, and sometimes our running game looks a little putrid, how is it that you have Mr. 2,000-yard season last year getting 6 carries a game, 7 carries a game, touching the ball?
Play calling.
Yeah,
I was talking with our mutual friend who's a Philly Eagles diehard, and you know what's as simple as this: their play calling sucks in Philadelphia.
Horrible.
And I'll attribute this right back to what we've talked about before here. Jalen Hurts on offensive coordinator number 4 or 5 in his career. Lamar Jackson on coordinator number 6 or whatever it is. I mean, all these guys are not getting a fair catch fair break when it comes to offensive coordination. And frankly, that does fall on the organization and the head coach, because the head coach should be doing a lot of play calling. The Chiefs have made it work despite, you know, you got the
Nagy's ability, to be a real coordinator. Yeah. But I tell you what, and I agree with you. I think the issue is this, and I've seen it before. I remember when Mike Martz came back and he thought he was going to bring back, you know, the old Rams, greatest show on turf and all of that.
Yeah.
Look, I don't understand why the NFL as a whole has come up with this idea that running backs aren't as valuable. Yep. Why is it that every offensive coordinator feels like the only way they can justify being a great coordinator is by coming up with these gadget plays and doing this and passing the ball more than running? In order to be effective in the NFL, you have to run the ball effectively. You have to have a balanced offense. Play action doesn't work if you never run the damn ball. Or can't run the ball. And I feel like Philly's into that. I feel like the Ravens have been a victim of that. You know, you got Lamar, you got Derrick Henry in the back, and they're not running the ball. They're passing the ball. Yeah. Same thing with the Eagles. This is what's leading to their demise. Saquon Barkley should be the focal point of that offense, not A.J. Brown, not Smith, not anybody else. It should be just him. And once the defense has to adjust to that, putting more men in the box, coming up with different kind of schemes, then you can pass effectively, not the other way around.
Football fundamentals 101. I think I forgot it was the commentators before the game last night actually brought up a very good point, and this was more regarding Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is being brought into the league to have to find his craft at two positions that are completely opposite, cornerback and wide receiver. So he gets no time to focus on one or the other to become elite at one or the other. You put players in the same boat when you don't have proper play calling and proper balance. So if you're going to sit there and just throw the ball and all these gadget plays and all that, that puts pressure on your wide receivers to try to have to run their routes really crisp and get really good. Fine. But then your running back, he's like, I'm bored. I'm not going to work as hard. And that's what's going to happen, mental complacency. Same thing with Philly. You went a couple of weeks where you went on Saquon's back like you're supposed to, and that's fine. But then your wide receivers, they didn't really figure out their role. And guess what? Guess what happened? You're the perfect illustrated play of what happened at the end of the game there when Philly got the ball. You're one of your wide receivers playing DB on your other receiver.
Two receivers in the same spot. Now, and I get it because it was pretty much a Hail Mary kind of pass.
Yeah,
but to see them both there, either one of them could have caught the ball. But the fact that one tried to catch the ball and the other one was basically tackling him as opposed to letting him catch it.
Yep.
You know, and I also have an issue with that because I played sports, all of the sports, and played it at a pretty decent level.
Yep.
I was about winning.
Yes.
Win. So if I'm not the focal point, if I'm not getting my touches, I played receiver, I played tight end, I played running back.
This is a team
I
sport.
understand that. But we won the damn game. Let's be happy about the fact we win because that was the purpose and goal. And then let's talk about how I can be incorporated into winning. But if we can win 17 games in a row and I'm not the star, I'm still freaking happy. But today's world, everybody's stat, centric.
That's the problem.
AJ Brown's complaining. So now they're passing the ball more.
Yep.
Is that the best thing for the team?
Oh. And guess what? You're sitting there and having the media dictate what you should be doing on the field? Seriously. Because that's all it was. It was media pressure. Oh, AJ Brown not getting the ball. AJ Brown not getting... Guess what? Who cares? It's your organization. You won a Super Bowl last year. Run it as you see fit to take advantage of the talent you have on the field. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry, but you can let media get into the players' ears, whatever it is. You as coaches in an organization better be fixing that in the house. That's as simple as that. And that, I think, was a big – I think this was a situation where the Eagles placated to the needs of the public. They made those play calls, and honestly, that's what cost them the game because, like you said, you got the best damn running back in, I'd say, almost 10 years, give or take.
And he's not touching the ball. You pass him a wheel route pass, he scores a touchdown. But other than that, he's not touching the ball. How does that make sense?
Same thing. I mean, again, Ravens. Okay, you got
Ravens, exact same thing. Another 2,000-yard rusher. The
Ravens abandon the run every time they leave the game. How does that work?
Totally, and just doesn't make sense. And to be frank, so Philly lost that game. Kudos to the Broncos for being able to go into Philly and do that. What you said about the whole media thing, I think the media does have some influence. Let's be real. You hear enough of that. You get the fans. But here's an indictment I have on the fans specifically in Philly. Stop booing a team that's 4-0.
Yeah, well,
stop booing a team that's the best.
Sirianni's head in the middle of what 5 games, I think, last year.
Yeah, and then they win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's just like that. I think sometimes people get into this mode in their mind that you're supposed to win every game and you're supposed to do it this way. You know what? Winning is what it's all about. And when people win, congratulate them. Don't try to break them down like you didn't win the way I wanted you to win.
Yeah, I'll go one step further and play sports psychology in Philadelphia. You guys put so much pressure on perfection on your teams that guess what? Your Phillies choke because that's what's happening too. Kyle Schwarber, he ain't there this postseason.
It's still the first 2 games. I mean, I don't like the format. And I'll tell you, we talk about baseball just to keep the baseball real quick.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
The Cubs are in the same situation. You go on the road, and these are 2, highly productive teams that are playing at home. You lose the first 2 games. Now you're basically in I got to win 3 games in a row mode. I just feel like it's a little unfair. I feel like also it should be 7 games once you get past the little. But why isn't it 7 games once you get past that little wild card BS with the 3 games and all of that?
Wild card BS. I mean, I'll go further. Who grabs 3 straight home games in a wild card? When did that rule change? I wasn't well aware of it. That's garbage to me. I thought it was always supposed to. If you're going to play a short series like that, it's 1-1-1. You've got equal opportunity. That's how it works in every other sport. How does it not work in first round of baseball? You give the full advantage to the wild card team that does better. That's garbage.
3 home games.
Yeah,
and you got to win 2 of them.
You got to
get as a visitor win 2 of those games to advance. Then you go on to play a 5-game series where you're playing 2 games on the road to start.
Yep.
So how did it, and again, I'm not the guys who make up the schedule and all that. I'm sure there are a lot of factors we don't
even complain that baseball's too long in terms of schedule for the home season. Well, guess what? Extend your postseason because that's what your people are watching.
Right. Extend the postseason and reduce your season by, I don't know, a third. Or maybe not a third, maybe a fourth, because it's supposed to go from spring to fall, whatever. And then you also would be able to have meaningful games being played in decent weather instead of meaningful games being potentially played in 30 degrees.
Baseball is a summer sport and it doesn't get played in the summer for the playoffs. How does that work?
Got me. Doesn't make sense to me, but who are we? We're just people who can actually think about all of the different things and factors and what would be the best entertainment package that you could provide for fans.
College football, which has arguably the second most viewership in this entire country behind the NFL, decided to take the step of extending their playoffs. Am I a personal fan of it? No, but guess what? It's a revenue cash cow. You've now made the entire month of December playoff football in the college football with the 12-team playoff, which is going to start this year. It's going to get wild. And frankly, you've got every weekend for 5 straight weekends, basically, where you're going to have playoff football in college, on top of all the other bowl games and stuff that happen for all the teams that don't qualify for the top 12. But all you did was turn into a revenue cash cow. Hey, baseball, listen up. Your best viewership on any given day is 3 million. They get that in a quarter.
Yes. And that's what, again, because you got to have meaningful football mean something, or meaningful whatever your sport is. 162 games, you could take just about, and a great example is look at where Detroit was and where Cleveland was around the All-Star break, and look at where they finished. Now, maybe that was great towards the back end, but the front end is boring and nobody cares.
We're in a new era of sports, and we can talk about this topic later too, where frankly, the durability of star caliber players is lower than what it used to be, let's say in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, honestly. And some of it has to do with the physicality of all the games and stuff like that. So I'll give it defense in that situation.
No.
But the purity of the game. No. I agree with you. The purity of the game is lost. The purity of the game is lost. You're never going to see a 20-game winner in baseball ever again.
Well, I feel like this. First off, I feel like some of the passion of the sport is gone.
Absolutely, it's lost.
As far as the physicality, there was nothing more physical in basketball, in football, and even in baseball than playing in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe even up to 2000. Now everything is, we got to manage the pitch count. We got to do this and we got to do that. Oh, he hurt his toe, so maybe he can't play for 4 weeks because he hurt his toe. When everybody else is walking around, look at my hands and fingers. I didn't play professional sports. My fingers are all fucked up because I played because I love the goddamn game.
Yes.
And you play for that. You don't play for the money. You play because you love the competition. You love the physicality. You love being in the trenches or whatever sport you're in. You love it. And I don't feel like the love is there anymore.
It isn't. Everybody's there for the money. Everybody's there for the fame and all that crap. I'm sorry, but you're never gonna have a 20-game winner in baseball ever again in pitching, which is like the elite standard of the 90s and 2000s. If you think about it, name me a pitcher. Greg Maddux is the classic example. Greg Maddux used to pitch out there half blind and throw gems.
And he would throw gems. And the other thing is no hitters.
Yes.
How many times have you seen where there was no hitter thrown, but there were like 5 pitchers because they took the initial pitcher out who didn't give up any runs, who didn't really have that much of a threat, but they take him out in the 5th inning so he can get his record in because he has to pitch at least 5 and all of that stuff. And then they throw all these other pitchers. Back in the day, every pitcher wanted to pitch as long as they could. If I only gave up 1 or 2 runs, you're not taking me out because I'm actually dominating the game.
I want to finish the game and finish with a W. Exactly. It's for the purity of the game and want the desire to win. Simple as that.
The worst thing that can happen is what happened, for instance, to who was it? The Yankees in one of the series. Where the guy's pitching well.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? Let's take you out.
Yeah.
You got a chance to still win the game. No, you don't, because then the other pitchers come in, changes the tenor of the game, and before you know it, you're a loser. Not because the pitcher wasn't pitching well, but because the manager decided that I need to step in and do. Hey, Joe Madden, wherever you are, you're lucky because you almost did that to the Cubs after not winning for over a century. And the only reason that we won was because divine intervention came and Hayward got a chance to talk to you guys and get them refocused because it rained. If it didn't rain, Joe Madden, you'd be in infamy because you were the coach that ruined the chance for the Cubs to win a World Series.
Whatever higher power you believe in definitely intervened in that damn game because there's no way you overcame Joe Madden, Aroldis Chapman, and everything else going on.
And something incredible, I have to say, Aroldis Chapman is still pitching and pitching effectively.
Yes, he is.
And when he's not put in the 7th inning and stuff like that, he pitches effectively. That's what a closer is. You close the door. That's the last thing you want to see. Not put him in earlier.
Another craft that will be lost, and then I'll bring this up with other sports too. In baseball, a closer's job is to shut the damn game down. You know, no matter what. And they are a killer instinct pitcher. They close out the 9th inning. They know how to put the seal on it. Mariano Rivera, last known great closer in this league, no question. You had a few of them even before then. You had the Eckersleys, the Stringhausen. You had a bunch of guys.
Raleigh Fingers. There were a lot of.
I can't name a damn closer right now. I can't.
No, I mean there are a couple, but yeah. But you're right. That used to be a thing, and it's not as much of a thing. It's like they want to rally around a bunch of mid-relief pitchers and have them come in.
Think about it. The elite standard in baseball at one point was 20 wins as a starting pitcher and 50 saves, 40 or 50 saves.
Not anymore.
You ain't gonna see that shit ever again. Ever again. I don't care about load management, all the science of the game, all that garbage. Forget it. For the purity of the game, those two were the elite stats. As a pitcher, you wanted 20 wins a season because it means you were a bulldog. And as a closer, you were closing out half of your team's wins. Think about that.
Generally, that's right. Yeah. So if you had an 80, 90 win season, your reliever had 45, 50 of those wins, saves.
Yes. Yep. So no. Those stats will forever be gone. It's turned into just a hitter's game, and I get the entertainment behind it, but that's bullshit.
Hey, I know we've gone off on a tangent. We're coming right back to football.
We're back,
I do think, there are some things that we could talk about in other sports, but let's get back to some of the things that happened last week before we talk about this week. One of the things that I just wanted to touch on, and we talked about it just briefly, but I got to touch on. I used to love Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, and guys like that because they would visit the end zone, and they weren't the guys. And don't get me wrong, I love the things they come up with.
Yeah.
Everybody comes in and joins in, rows the boat, throws the bowling pins, pins fall. I love all that stuff. But the key was act like you've been there. When you get close to the end zone, hold the motherfucking ball.
Did we not learn from Leon Lett?
Well, that was years ago, but okay.
So ingrained in my mind as a kid. Like, that's the one thing if I learned anything from football was watching Leon Lett, national television, sitting there carrying the ball like this. And so
Don Beebe.
Yeah.
Don Beebe. I still want to have you, Don Beebe, for chasing them down like Metcalf did to the one guy. Yep. That was classic. Here's my problem. You got the guy from Indianapolis who did it last week, and they lost because of that. Don't get that wrong. If they score that touchdown, a whole different game, they're going to win that game. They lose that game. Here you come this week, and I know coaches talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
And you break off an 80-yard run or whatever it was. You're getting to the end zone. First, you're slowing down. You're looking at the tron. You can tell there's a guy coming behind you. You're slowing down. Secondly, you've already seen what can happen. It happened last week.
Yep.
And you get to the end zone and you decide you want to drop the ball before you cross the darn line. What's wrong with you? Who was that? DeMarcado? Was that his name?
DeMarcado.
Come on now.
He was crying after the game on the sideline. His coach railed in.
You know what?
Garbage.
Save that.
Deserve it.
Yeah,
deserved.
save that. And he got chewed out royally on camera,
Yeah.
and I missed it. They were going to talk about it on Get Up this morning, but I'm sorry, you're a professional athlete. Act like you want to get there and achieve the goal. It's like the marathon runner who gives up, like, within 10 steps of the finish line and have somebody pass them up to win, or the
Let's
biker,
put
or
it this
that.
way.
You have to cross the finish line to win the game, to score the touchdown before you celebrate.
What you were alluding to earlier about the classic, what I would call celebrations of the end zone. Guess what? Most of them didn't happen as people were crossing the end zone. Most of them stopped after they scored it, and then you did the icky shuffle. And then
That's
you did
what you do.
then you did the dirty bird. Then you did, everything else. You did the Deion
Icky
Sanders, you did the
shuffle,
Ray Lewis,
baby.
you did everything. That happened after you got 2 feet in.
That's right. So when are they going to stop this? And it's I'm just shocked that you have to tell grown men this.
Yep.
I don't get it. And the Cardinals, that's the worst loss ever. That aside, you still could have won that game.
Yeah,
but how do you intercept the ball and then go around and start playing soccer instead of football, and you're kicking the ball around and you give them a touchdown that Dave Casper couldn't have fumbled the ball better?
That might have been one of the best bumble-headed, movements of the football around the field I've ever seen. Seriously.
You just play some circus music and just watch that all day, and you just get a laugh. You just can't believe that that's how you got 3 guys on the same team fighting for one ball, and neither one of them get it. Come on, guys.
If you would have told me before, say, 1 p.m. on Sunday that the most embarrassing play in modern memory in football might have been, the butt fumble and that same guy now going to prison potentially, then frankly, Arizona topped it and made me forget about Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, I would have to say Mark Sanchez took over, Jim Marshall from the Vikings, who actually took a ball and ran it the opposite direction. He was a defensive player, ran it the opposite direction for a safety, right? Because you don't get a touchdown. Then you got the butt fumble, and how does he end up in jail trying to beat up some 60-year-old guy jumping in his car? I guess you're not working anymore, Mark.
He's gone.
But I'll throw one more in there.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about this because they're playing this upcoming week. Bears Commanders last year. Bears got a chance to go 4-2, actually look good. You got a guy on the sideline, Stevenson, jawing it to the fans while the last play of the game, which has to be a 60-yard Hail Mary, is being played. And he realizes that because one of the fans probably said, keep talking, you idiot. See the ball in the air? And he runs over, tips the ball to the guy on Washington, Brown, the receiver, and they win the game. I'm still going with that one because the bumbleheadedness that happened with the Cardinals.
That was a better example of the modern generation being too busy with themselves. So I agree.
Yes. I think that leads into the whole fumbling before you get to the end zone. All of these things. You celebrate after the event occurs. You don't celebrate before the event occurs. It's like, and I tell my son this all the time, we'll play cards or something, and he's so happy and he's talking smack. And I said, you're winning, but we'll see if you win. See, there's a difference. It's great during the game, but afterwards is when you see people crying on the sidelines because they fucked up. Excuse my French. It's really Swahili. It's not French. But, and I just don't understand. Again, these are professionals, supposedly, and you get paid big money for this. You practice hard all week long. And as much as we talk about kickers screwing up and that's their only job and we get on them, for players to do things like that, to me, if I'm a defensive player, I'm pissed. If I'm an offensive player, if I'm the offensive lineman that blocked for you to get that run, and I'm sitting in the trenches getting poked in the eye, getting my fingers tipped, all getting run over, and that's what you do, I would tackle you as soon as we got into the locker room after the game. I would blow you up. I would tackle you so hard into the locker, you would know that you'll never do that again.
Here's my thing, and I think this is what's been lost on the current generation. And I consider this my 3 steps of evolution of considering yourself successful in team sports. 1, you win as a team first. That's level 1. So unless you've got the W's to pile on and talk to everyone and say, we got this many wins, don't talk. That means you need to work harder. Then, after you've got the W's, then you work on some of the individual accolades at whatever position or craft you're in. If you're a defensive player, maybe you're going for a sack total. You work harder, you try to get better, and you make sure your team wins on top of that.
I was going to say,
You're a
with
defensive back?
with that purpose, you said it right. I'm not looking to my individual accolades.
Yeah.
I'm looking to be better because I know the better I do, the better our team does.
Do it this way. In a team sport, you got, let's say, 4 DBs. As a DB unit, you want to be able to shut down the other team and get the W. So that's step one. Step two, then you start trying to beat up yourselves, meaning I want to be better than the guy next to me. And that's what you were, and that helps everyone. Doesn't just help you, that helps everyone. Same thing as a quarterback. Okay, I've got my team to my wins. You know what? I got to work on getting the ball more out and everything else. You start honing your craft. You start creating another level of success to that team concept.
Jordan only became as great as he was once he learned how to make his team better, not just him. The team.
And again, that gets lost in all of these sports today, and that's what's sad, honestly. And that's exactly what we're getting at here. You know, people wanting to celebrate, do their garbage, all that crap. Guess what? It costs you W's, and I'm going to forget about you next year. It's as simple as that. Arizona, I won't even remember you unless you win a ring. Simple as that.
And you may never win a ring.
And you won't never win a ring because of the way you have that culture to set up. I mean, it's just how it is.
Well, I mean, part of that whole game too.
Yeah.
I don't understand teams who have I'll call it the Bartman Cubs effect. One play. If you're still winning after you do your worst, which they were, that was the worst, and they were still winning, that should rally you around to make you be that much tougher to win, not cave in like a house of cards that just got somebody blowing the wind on it. You're supposed to get tougher because you need to be, but you're still winning. So it's just like having that loser mentality. You're winning the game even after the biggest blunder, but you got this loser mentality in your head. All of a sudden, the coaching goes out the door, their offense goes out the door, defense comes up with these stupid plays. What's wrong with teams? You know, I don't know. I don't get it.
Here's some simple advice for all of you folks that play football. Celebrate after you run through the back of the end zone.
Yeah. Call them when you still have the ball in your hand.
Yeah. Hey, by then you made your 2 steps. You've made your completion. You're done. Celebrate after you get past the end zone and go celebrate with the fans. Simple as that.
Well, and the other thing is, and this is something that I feel like, and we talked about this, the backbone part. When you were talking about the physicality of sports, that's why I would lean back on that. I grew up in that. There was a backbone that everybody had, a toughness that you had, that you were able to overcome. And maybe it wasn't, you know, looking out for your best health, but it was looking out for your passion and your desire to continue to play the sport and not letting an injury or something hold you back. But I feel like we don't have that backbone anymore. Something happens, oh my God, cave, like some old Scooby-Doo, you know, villain who goes, you know, I'm in the grave. You know, you stupid kids.
Speaking of Scooby-Doo, Scattaboo. That was a surprise too. The New Orleans Saints back on track a little bit, took out the Giants. Not, you know, it wasn't exactly.
How did the Giants lose that game though? Come on, man.
We both tried to call that. I mean, we made some pretty bad picks this week, I think. Overall.
Oh, wait, just so everybody knows, and you got to be able to take the good with the bad and own it, right? We've been doing halfway decent up until last week. Last week, my record was 6-8.
Yep.
Your record was 4-10.
4-10.
Thank God we didn't put a lot of money on the betting line because we would have been broke. And I mean, broke, y'all. Been like Andre Rison.
It was an upside down week, to say the least. And, you could see some of the more prevailing trends happening in the NFL between, folks that have bye weeks, injuries, whatever it was. But frankly, there are no gimmies. That's as simple as that in this year's league. There are no gimme games. There is no dominant one team right now in the NFL, as we can see. And each team is coming up with the right game planning week to week to take on their competitor. So you know what's going to get interesting the rest of the season. You finally got the big dogs down. You got the Eagles down finally. The Bills came down. It's going to get very interesting in this middle stretch where the bye weeks kick in, I think, and seeing where teams emerge out of it. Personally, I still like my Chiefs coming out of these bye weeks and the health and everything else that's going to come into play. So I think they're going to be on the up and up coming in there. The Jags honestly impressed me last night. They've got a solid defense. Despite the fact that they gave up so many points, they have a defense that can turn the ball over, and that's what they were leading the category in, apparently walking into this game. Most turnovers by a defense leading into this game. Could it keep them alive in the South? Yeah, it probably could. Indianapolis, I still don't buy it. I still don't buy it.
I don't, just because Daniel Jones is the quarterback. And maybe he has some kind of renaissance, rebirth,
Right.
Phoenix, whatever you want to call it.
And
But,
Jonathan Taylor's in for an injury. That's the way I see it, unfortunately.
Well, and Taylor, and all of the things are clicking right now, but it's a long season. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
Back to what you said with Jacksonville, and I think this goes back to just the whole having the backbone and having the right kind of focus. They look different this year.
Culture's changed.
I don't know. Maybe Cole could have kicked what's his name's butt in San Francisco because they got that attitude. They didn't cave. They kept going. They kept battling, and I don't think Jacksonville was built that way before, or at least mentally had that kind of perspective. I think that bodes well, and as you said, and I'll take something from Herm Edwards, part of his famous quote: "You play the game because it isn't on paper. You play the game because each week, I don't care if you're 17-0. Hello, New England Patriots that went to the Super Bowl and lost. You play the game because anything can happen. It's the day, it's the person, it's the heart, it's the desire, it's a little luck. It's all of those things. So to see the 2-4-0 teams go down, honestly, one of those 2-4 teams was an imposter in my mind, just because they could have lost almost every game they played.
True.
The other one, Buffalo, they looked like they were dominant. They slept on New England. New England came in and beat them at home. And this is another, to me, why rivalries do matter. I know in college football, they broke up the whole rivalry thing. Rivalries do matter because you know what? I could be 0-12, but that 13th game, if that's against the team I just despise and they're in my division, might play a little bit harder. Might find a way to win.
Rivalry games, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due. People don't give enough credit to Mike Vrabel as a coach, in my opinion. And it's a shame they ran him out of Tennessee, but that was a whole different matter. Yeah, the dude is a great player. The dude is a great coach. He inspires his players. He can get the most out of what he needs to do. And frankly, I think he's in a good setup now where he can build the Patriots back into a good spot. Not a Bill Belichick, championship, multiple year kind of thing. But he's going to get those players playing. And frankly, he's got Drake May playing well. I'll give him that.
Drake he's balling. And you know who else is balling, which it could be a double-edged sword? Stephon Diggs won that game for New England. Stephon Diggs. He came out of nowhere.
What he doing wonders for that boy?
Well, here's the danger with Stephon Diggs. You know what? When you're humble, you play hard.
Yes, that's the key.
When you get a little ahead of yourself and your head gets big where you can't hardly walk through a door, then you start acting like a fool. You stop doing the things. And the other part is you may lose some of the respect of the people you're playing with, because I think Stephon Diggs did that, and that's why he was chased out of these places besides injury.
I think he's in the right spot now where honestly he's in a different culture with the Patriots organization. And I think it's helping him and the team, honestly. Whereas, he was in Vikings. He had a couple of good receivers there. You want to get paid? Okay, fine. You go to Buffalo. Buffalo, you want to be that dude apparently and get every ball.
He became a diva.
Yeah. And I'm sure then he went over to Houston. He's like, I'm the oldest man in the room. Nico Collins.
I'm the vet.
Yeah. Now you're back to, I'm just average now. I didn't do shit last year. Well, guess what? I better earn my respect back. Well, guess what? That's what you're working on now. To understand that.
Hopefully he keeps that humility and the work ethic, and he shows people on the field instead of saying it through his lips.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. It goes back to what we said at the beginning of the call. Show it on the field. I don't care about anything else. That's what wins championship. That's what gets you the ad space afterwards to get you that money out the field. Show it on the field. Simple as that.
And not just 1 week. No. Make that a standard for yourself. Exactly. And also make yourself a standard for everybody on your team, because that's how you get teammates to gel and everything. Because they see you coming in early in for practice, leaving late for practice, and wanting it more, and shutting your mouth instead of going around trying to tell people how great you are. That's the guy that I'm going to look up to if I'm the new player on the team to try to emulate and become. So that's what you want to do.
Nope. Shout out to Cam Ward. I don't know if anybody caught that presser from last week. He pretty much said his team was ass. And you know what? He took blame for it. I like it.
I love it. I love it. And they came out and won. And that, to me, speaks volumes. That's how you become a leader, is when you can call yourself and the team out and be like, look, we're just booty. He used the word ass.
Yep.
and he wasn't wrong. But maybe that wakes people up like, hey, you know what?
These are professional athletes, the top 1% of the 1% in terms of the folks that get to play the game to get paid. You know what? They've got a lot of pride. They should have a lot of pride.
They should have a lot of pride. That's the part. They should have a lot of pride. And speaking of some prideful things that we saw out there, the Browns tried to win, didn't quite come up all right. We'll see what happens with I like calling him Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel looked okay, I thought. I mean, he got the ball around a little bit better than Flacco did. I mean, they're going to need some better work out there, but that was game one for him, so I'll give him credit.
Yep. Pride was exhibited by the Jaguars. The Ravens, let's talk about the Ravens real quick.
Oh,
I don't care about the Dolphins, Panthers. I'll give you some credit for coming back. Colts blew out the Raiders. The Rams, surprisingly lost to the 49ers. I give the 49ers credit. Rams are just figuring out ways to lose.
Yeah, division rivalry, though. Division rivalry, big game. So that 49ers Rams matchup every year is always interesting to watch. So I'll give it credit where it's due. It wasn't unexpected, but at the same time, we figured the Rams would get back on track and right the ship after last week. And frankly, they're another team that could have been 4-0, 5-0. At the end of the day.
And they could still be one of those scary teams with the offense and defense that they have. But I want to talk about pride. We look at all those other games. Two games I want to talk about pride. One, my hat's off to Baker Mayfield. This guy was run out of Cleveland. Remember when he came out of Oklahoma? Everybody thought he was going to be the crap, and he ended up looking like crap because he was on a crap team. Went around, won in Carolina for a game, became a guy who came in, help a team out for a minute, journeyman that wasn't even really on a team. And then he lands in Tampa Bay, and all he's done is taken the mantle from Brady. And I'm telling you, Tampa Bay is one of those sneaky teams. They pull out those close victories. They don't give up.
I have them getting home field in the NFC. Right now. I won't go so far as to pick them out of the NFC, but I will give you this. They're going to get home field, and people are going to have to go to Tampa in January.
I think that might be a rough haul there. They got enough defense, and they got enough offense. They get Mike Evans back. That Ibuwuki.
Think about it. They have yet to have the trifecta of Buka, Godwin, and Evans on the field at once.
On the field at the same time. And
that might be the best receiving core in football.
Well, and look, they went back to their old running back.
Yeah.
And boy, he looked pretty darn good.
They went back to Rashad White. Rashad White looked like
White was all up there, boy. He was whitewashing that fence, boy. I'm telling you, he was doing it. And they get Bucky back. They got a two-headed monster. They got a good defense, and they got an offense to pick it up for them.
They got solid pieces all around. They're well-coached. I mean, I like that team. And frankly, they're coming out of the South. They're going to run the South. No problem.
I don't see what's going to stop them. That's the one pride. Here's the other one. It's on the opposite side. Kudos to the Texans for playing. All of a sudden, they were 0-3 or whatever. Last 2 weeks, they've looked good.
Yep.
What is going on with the Baltimore Ravens? Their defense looks like Swiss cheese. Their offense, do they know how to block for Derrick Henry? Do they know that if they ran Derrick Henry 30 times a game, they would wear people out? Do they not know that?
Yeah. I'm going to chalk this up to the same thing I've said last week and the week before. When you've got an organization that prides itself obviously on its management, its GM, and its head coach, you think that all the responsibility sits at the top. The other problem is you've had a rotational carousel of both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for this organization for the last 4 years. And you have taken away the culture and identity of this company, what this team was built on at the end of the day. This team was built on defense. You have no pride in this defense. You got the right players. You got Roquan Smith. You got a secondary. You got every position done well.
They've been injured, though. They have been injured.
Yeah, they've been injured, and then honestly, they are the most injured team. I think somebody joked this week, and they have over $170 million in injuries sitting on the table right now.
I saw something like that.
They're right. They're right. But guess what? That doesn't mean next man up doesn't exist in the NFL.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, where is that mentality? And other things
they have no second mentality sitting with this team, and that's what's unfortunate. And this is a class organization with arguably, I think, the best GM in the game with Ozzie Newsome.
Yep, agreed.
That dude's a forever man and a Hall of Famer for what he does to make the moves that he does to build this team every year. John Harbaugh has always been at the top of the mantle. He's one of the most tenured coaches and
most respected coaches.
I don't know if they've lost the locker room. I don't know what's going on around here, but even to the point where the old players, the defensive pride of this city,
don't
doesn't
even
even
show
want
up
to show up.
anymore. Yeah, they don't even show up anymore. But here's my question. If you have somebody that's poorly performing, you know, we both manage people and all of that, they're poorly performing. You have a conversation. You reset the expectations. You provide direction. Where's Ozzie? And probably not as much his responsibility as it is John Harbaugh. Just like we were saying before, Andy Reid had to take the helms over on the offense because he saw that Nagy was not doing what he was supposed to do. Why aren't they telling him, hey, you know what? We're passing the ball too much. Hey, you know what? What happened to our run option that we had with Henry and Jackson? Nobody could stop that. Why are we not doing that more? Why are we trying to make people what they're not? I mean, and maybe not what they're not. Lamar has shown that he's made significant improvements from an overall quarterbacking standpoint, mentally throwing balls on time, all of that stuff. But his true talent, but his true talent are his feet. And if you can take him and Derrick Henry and you just tell your line, let's block. And, you know, we were talking about something earlier, and I forgot to mention this. Philly's passing the ball. A lot of teams are passing the ball. What is the hardest thing for the offensive line to do? Is pass block. Run block is easy. Run block, I shoot off, I hit somebody, I'm ready to go. Why are we not doing more of that? Why is Baltimore not saying, hey, look, this week, let's focus on different blocking, making sure we understand how to pull a guard, how to do this, how to do that, and we're going to run the ball 40 times.
Yeah, well, offensively, they've obviously struggled. No question there. But what the hell is wrong with this defense? You're telling me at all three stages of the freaking defense, you can't stop a wet diaper? Like, seriously, it's that bad. This is the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
The best stat of the weekend was they've given up 170, 180 points. That's the most points given up through 5 games in this season. However, that same total is the total amount of points given up by the year 2001 Ravens that won the title.
Well,
think about that.
Yeah, but that's a whole different thing. We can't compare them to that.
But think about it. You had brand name caliber players at every position. You've got brand name caliber players at every position right now. And I can understand the game has changed in 20 years. Don't get me wrong. But the culture and identity of this team is to keep things low scoring in every game.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yep.
Pound the rock and win the games. Because that's what they used to do. Back in the day, they had Ray Rice. Before Ray Rice, they had Jamal Lewis. After Jamal Lewis, they had Jamal Charles. I mean, this is a company that is built on running and defense. That doesn't exist.
I agree with that. They've gotten away from their identity, and that's why they need to have a come to Jesus moment, because as badly as they're looking right now, they could still make the playoffs. They can run 10 in a row. They could.
That's what's funny. Vegas has them winning the division. Think about that for a second.
I don't know how that is. I mean, the Steelers have never been
the division. That's why.
Yeah. Well, and Steelers are leading the division. The rest of the teams in the division are below 500, right?
Well, the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, and they can't get the ball out on their offense, and the same thing with their defense. The Browns continue to be the Browns.
Don't even mention them. They don't count. Yeah.
Yeah, the Browns continue to be the Browns. So that fits the Ravens right at 2. So do we buy the Steelers? No, we're still not buying the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. So guess what? That's what makes the Ravens still be able to win their division at the end of the day, because they'll get a Lamar back. They'll figure out how to right the ship. Hopefully, they'll get their defensive players back. They'll get Nada BK back. They'll get Roquan to finally be Roquan. You know, they'll finally get their players back where they need to be. And on offense, they'll add another weapon called Isaiah Likely here. And they already did, but they haven't used him. That's the thing. Like, they got 2 elite tight ends. They've got an elite quarterback. They got an elite running back. They got wide receivers. They have experience. Like, this is a team that should be putting up 35 points a game and stopping the ball, but they don't.
Well, and that's the thing. We'll have to see what happens. You know, let's kick it into this week. Let's talk about what's upcoming on the entertainment schedule from an NFL perspective.
We'll regroup and make our picks for this week, like I said, over the next day or two. But yeah, so this will be entertaining.
I think, you know, you said it. I think it's still a crapshoot. I think no team has separated themselves as being invincible, being unbeatable. If there would have been a team that I would have said that, actually, it wouldn't have been the Eagles. It would have been the Buffalo Bills. And they both went down this week. So it's interesting to look at some of these games. First game on the slate, Thursday night. Giants at Eagles. The Giants
I love that game.
Pushover. Giants not a pushover anymore. Even if they are playing with Dart versus anybody else, they aren't a pushover anymore.
I think the Eagles will right the ship, but I think this game is going to be super close. I think the Giants' defense is for real. I don't care what anybody says. That defense is for real. They've got positional players that are unbelievable. You could see the remake of a Giants defense over this next couple of weeks. They're still very young, but I love the talent they got on the field on the defensive side of the ball.
I agree with all of that. I still think that the Eagles win, and sounds like you're saying the Eagles will win, but I think it's not going to be a pushover game like we might have thought after week 1 or week 2.
Yep, agreed.
Next on the slate, I got Jets Broncos. Is this a trap game?
Could be, but the Jets have yet to show me any solidity. I love Sean Payton coming off a win. I think they've got a great defense to sit on, and frankly, they're figuring out the offense. Bo Nix is Bo Nix. He's playing well right now. They figured out how to use the receivers. Sutton's great. They got it going. Broncos.
I agree. Unfortunately, I think the Jets could go the way of Detroit did almost a decade ago and lose every game this season. I could just see that.
Yep.
Next I got is the Seahawks going to visit the Jags. So just something to note on this. So last week, and I think you picked the Seahawks, I picked the Buccaneers. Last week, the Buccaneers had to travel from Tampa Bay to Seattle. That's always a long haul. Many teams do not overcome that. They overcame it. Can the reverse happen this week with Seattle traveling to Jacksonville?
You know what? I think Jacksonville's coming off a little bit of a high now with last night's win, and they're playing well, and they're starting to resemble, the classy mustache of their owner. I love the guy. So Shad Khan's got the coolest mustache in town. Arthur Blank's got the best pinstripe suits in town. Those owners are awesome, right? If you combine those two, you'd have the greatest monopoly man on earth.
Monopoly man.
But that said, Seattle's coming off a really tough loss because that was a hell of a game between them and Tampa, honestly. Two good matchups. Jackson Smith and Jigba turning into that next dude, if you will, for Sam Darnold, for sure. I'm going to go Jags. I think the Jags have gotten a little bit of a chip on their shoulder now. They're 4-1. Think about that. You got a 4-1 Jags team hosting a Seattle team at home. It's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go Jags.
I'm actually going Seahawks. Sam Darnold looks like the real deal. He's not on Minnesota anymore, and he doesn't have Jefferson. But I tell you what, in Jigba and a few others, they're actually playing like they want it. I'm taking the Seahawks, believe it or not. I think they're gonna not like the taste they have in their mouth after the Buccaneers lost. So I think they're gonna come in, and I think the Jaguars, like you said, they're gonna be on too much of a high, and I think that Seattle's gonna surprise them and bring them back down to earth. Next on the slate, I got the Dolphins in LA the Chargers in Miami playing the Dolphins.
I'm going Chargers to resurrect themselves. Honestly, they've been on a weird slide. I still can't understand what the heck's going on there because you got, again, solid disciplined team, supposed to be a solid disciplined coach. I don't know how they've lost their last couple of games. It's still inexplicable to me. But we're talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, although I have to say, Tua looked pretty good. One thing that I think for Miami, even though they lost that game against Carolina, should have won it, they might have addition by subtraction. Tyreek Hill being out might be a good thing for Miami. All of a sudden, Waddle's catching long passes. You see them open up the offense. They don't have this person constantly whining and complaining and being the focal point of just the negativity that's in Miami. I'm not picking Miami, but I think this might be closer than you think, especially since
they'll be closer. They'll be closer. Yeah.
We got the double R game. We got the Rams coming off a loss they should have won 2 weeks in a row now. And you got the team that doesn't show any pride, the Ravens.
Easy win for the Rams, I think. The Ravens, until they get healthy, it's going to be hard to pick them. And you've got to prove to me that defense has any pride right now because, honestly, that's the embarrassment of the city right now. No question. I'm
with you on that. Everything you said, I totally agree. Again, I think Matt Stafford is underrated. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC West.
Puka Nacua is on track to potentially beat the receiving yards record, and there's only two other guys that have said that before. Calvin Johnson, who did it with Matt Stafford. And Cooper Kupp, who did it with Matt Stafford.
So there's something to that. I hope they go far just because I like Matt Stafford. I've liked him since he came out of Georgia.
Yep.
So both of us go the Rams there. Cardinals, Colts. We got the CCs. We went from the RRs to the CCs. What do we got here?
I think the Colts continue disciplined football. They seem to be playing very disciplined football. I mean, Daniel Jones, I'm still not 100% all in the whole the Colts bandwagon, but at the same time, Arizona's figured out how to lose games, which is just crazy.
And I think you said it, the last part you said, I think I agree with all of that. I think Indy's defense is better than people think. I think they got enough offense. I mean, being able to run Taylor as much as you want, and they got some decent receivers.
Crew, yep.
I think the biggest thing here for me is this. The Bears did it last year. When you have one of those pathetic ass losses, how do you respond? And I have a feeling this is going to define their season. And you can see Kyler Murray starting to get that pout again.
Yep.
I think the Cardinals are through for the rest of the season because of that. So I won't pick them until they can show me they can win another game.
Until Kyler Murray gets his head out of his ass and out of the basement of playing Call of Duty all the time and trying to get the ball to finally Marvin Harrison and use all those weapons on his team, no, it ain't happening.
Agree. We got Cowboys at the surprisingly better Carolina Panthers.
Interesting game. However, if you look at this statistically, Dak Prescott has been an offensive juggernaut.
Oh, yeah, in the MVP conversation. Way too early to talk about it, but yeah, agree.
And again, these Cowboys, it's still an enigma to me in terms of what they are, offense or defense, but that offense is going to put up points. They're going to put up 30 points. Can Bryce Young and those boys put up 30? No, I'm going Cowboys.
I am actually going the opposite.
Okay.
I'm going to take the home team here. I think Carolina has a different kind of
they do have a different culture going.
Attitude. Yeah. They've shown they can come back. Bryce Young doesn't look as pathetic as he has up to this point. I'm taking the Panthers.
The one guy I really love watching right now for the Panthers, honestly, is that wide receiver McMillan. I tell you, he's going to be a dog.
Potentially. May have to go to another team to be that dog, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Patriots Saints, not sure there's a lot of discussion here, but the Saints got off the schneid. They won in New York last week, or no, they won it was in New Orleans, but they beat the Giants. Any thoughts on that game? They're in New Orleans again.
Again, it still shocks me because I mean the Giants should have been attacking Spencer Rattler and never getting that ball off to Shaheed, or not Shaheed, but the receiver for the New Orleans Saints that flew down the field. I still can't understand that one. I still think it was a fluke. I think it's going to be disciplined football from the Patriots. I go Patriots.
I also go Patriots. I can't say anything else. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to talk about. Rattler is going to be rattled, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Next on the slate, this one we don't have to talk about it long, even though it's a divisional rivalry game. Browns against the Steelers.
Yep.
I got the Steelers. I think the Browns are another one of those teams. Until they can show me they can win. I can't pick them.
I'll go Steelers. Yeah. Here, give me 2 seconds. I'll be back in a second.
All right.
No, it's all. Hey, sorry about that.
No worries. I need to wrap this up. Let's see. So we got next. I have Titans Raiders. Maybe one of the worst games on the slate this week.
I'm gonna give Raiders have yet to show me what the hell's going on.
And the Raiders at home. I'm with you. Pete Carroll and his team hasn't really showed a whole lot.
Is this a home game for the Titans?
No, for the Raiders.
I'm gonna go Raiders.
I went the opposite. I went with the Titans. My thing is,
Ward playing. Yep.
Raiders are another one of those teams. Show me that you know how to win. Maybe they'll be good in the future, but I haven't seen Brock Bowers. I haven't seen enough Genty. I haven't seen enough defense. So until Crosby and the boys show up, I'm going against them every week.
Yep.
This is going to be probably one of the best games on the slate outside of the Lions Chiefs and the Bears Commanders.
Yep.
49ers Buccaneers. Buccaneers at home. After going way out to the West Coast, they're coming back to the East.
I'm going to go Tampa at home, but I'm going to think it's a close game. The 49ers honestly impressed me last week. And they had Fred Warner, I think, on last night with the Manning cast, and I was listening to him. I liked how well he was reading the game last night. It was pretty impressive, and that tells me a lot about the culture of the 49ers. They're impressive, to say the least. But I like this Tampa team. I can't pick against this Tampa team.
I'm with you. The 49ers have shown resiliency with all of the injuries they've had at key spots on their offense and defense, losing Bosa. Yep. But I'm sorry, Tampa's at home. Tampa, it just looks like this is their year. And Mayfield looks like the guy who's going to take them, maybe not to the promised land, but get them close to heaven's gates. All right.
Yep.
So I got Buccaneers. Next, Bengals Packers might not be much of a conversation, given that Browning has looked more like, a Brownie than someone who's really going to take Cincinnati to the next level.
Packers in a role in this one, no question.
Me too. Yep. And they're at home too, so not much of a discussion. Last three games. They got two Monday night games, but before we get to the Monday night game, we got a Sunday night game, don't we? Is it another Sunday night game with the Chiefs?
It is, and
the Chiefs are at home.
Lions at home. That's going to be an explosive game. I think you're going to see high scoring.
I think it's very possible. Hey, you know what? I need to take this phone call. Here, hold on one second. Hold on.
Yep.
Good morning. Can you give me 1 second? I'll be right back.
Yeah, of course.
All right, thank you. All right, so real quick.
Yeah. I'm going to go Chiefs only because I think our defense is going to play a little bit better than the Lions, but it's going to be like a 40-40 game.
So you got the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a Chiefs fan, but if for the sake of just this conversation, who's going to win this game, I cannot take the Chiefs. I cannot take the Chiefs after what I saw last night. I think the Lions are starting to hit their stride, and I actually picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl on one of my side bets before the season. I think they're going to have a hard time stopping the running game, and as soon as they try to do that, you got St. Brown, and you got Laporta, and you got Williams. You got too many offensive weapons. Chiefs can't score enough to keep up. Last two games, Bills Falcons. Falcons are at home.
Bills gonna roll.
Me too. I think we're gonna see the Bills bounce back after a loss. Atlanta has looked good at times, but they've looked putrid at times. Remember the game they got blown out by Carolina? Not sure I'm ready to take them to beat anybody yet. Last but not least, Bears Commanders. This is a repeat of last year. We talked about it. Bears should have won that game. I got the Commanders.
I got the Commanders as well.
All right.
I like that game at home for them. It's gonna be more of they're back to the basics for the Commanders, and I think the Bears are still gonna look sloppy.
I think so too, and I think they're not going to be able to overcome what happened last year as much as they're going to try.
Right. Nope. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, sir. It looks like we both have something we need to do today. We just want to bid everybody a wonderful week. Enjoy football. Enjoy this transition into fall weather, and just be kind to each other.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see you guys shortly, and we'll see hopefully a winning side on both of our ends instead of these horrible putrid picks that we've been doing.
Last week stunk.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. Be well.